This is a video to explain how we're working in the unprecedented situation we find ourselves in. Apologies for the amateur nature and the fact that I haven't got a photographer. I think you'll understand. From 5 o'clock on Sunday morning, I got club owners phoning me saying, how do we pay our rent? Because we haven't had any takings. One club owner down from 160,000 to 12,000, 160,000 last week to 12 this week. I've been running an estate agency called Baker Lorenz Consultancy, done up Hayward Lorenz for over 50 years and been through 4 recessions, so it's quite common that these things happen. 74, 84, 94 and layman's. That said, this is not only the harshest, but also somewhat fortunately for tenants, came just as the quarter-day rent was bound to be paid. A tenant paying 100,000 a year for a restaurant is probably turning over $1 million a year, making 150,000 a year, and so he saves up the rent, right, of £25,000 and the rates of £15,000 in the last 2 weeks of trading before the quarter day, or prudently in the first 2 weeks, so that he can put it away knowing he's going to pay his rent. With this fall off a cliff, whether it's restaurants, whether it's offices, serviced offices have been incredibly hard hit. Tenants are struggling to pay the rent. We knew that the government was going to do something, and they've just announced that landlords can't touch tenants for not paying the rent on March quarter day to June quarter day, although the rent is still due officially. What we do is negotiations which actually look for the landlords to share the pain that we're all going through, because there is a partnership, and if we're going to try and keep London together, then landlords are going to have to share the pain with tenants. And we've already got 40 to 50 negotiations this week that we're handling, quite a lot of them very big ticket situations of over 2 or 3 million a year. And we're also looking after people who are only paying 100,000 a year. In essence, once we're instructed, we get on to that. We firstly do not pay your rent for March quarter day under any circumstances. If you haven't, don't get landlords to pressurise you. They're not allowed to. Right, and you've been given a moratorium till June. I'm not saying that you can get off scot-free without paying any rent, because then the landlords wouldn't feel any pain. But on the other hand, the landlords shouldn't get off scot-free with regard to not sharing the pain with you. So we have got systems in place which agree that the landlord doesn't charge the rent, and that the tenant then, when he gets back into his premises, starts making up a proportion of what he's saved during the virus being over our head. And we do not know how long that's going to last. Please God, it's only 3 months, but it could be 6, 9, who knows. What we want to get across is that the landlord neither wants to lose his tenant if he's got a decent tenant who's going to trade well, nor does the tenant want to lose the landlord. If, for example, 50% of landlords in Leicester Square took bully tactics when the 3 months moratorium is over, we would never recognise Leicester Square as the same again, and it would take 10 years to come back, and tourism would drop, etc. Our intention is to actually save, in the lockdown, save businesses as they were trading, to get back into their offices, to get back into their shops and restaurants and start trading again. That needs the landlord's help. We also have a service which actually helps landlords with their own bankers, because bankers can put pressure on landlords so that they can't do deals with tenants, and that is also working well. As far as we're concerned, we are expecting landlords to chip in, and we're organising a webinar so that tenants can ask us any questions about what they can do. The law is changing daily, and we're up to date in connection with every single change. And we have a team of at least 10, but a backup team of around about 20 different people, all of whom I've worked with over the years, who are joining our team because there's no agency work around, and coming into conference calls. There's a learning system going in place, and Lorenz Consultancy is completely geared up that as soon as we receive instructions to act for a client, first thing we do is we ask the landlords to engage with us, saying we're handling it instead of the client. We take it on from there, keep the client fully advised, and hopefully the outcome will be that landlord and tenant actually shake hands at the end of the day, and they both suffer some pain together. We will not go through this situation without pain being borne, and it shouldn't just be on the tenant. The landlord, the tenant and the bank are in partnership, and they all need to join together. It does take an outsider sometimes to handle these negotiations because of the emotions which are running rife at the moment. But even the most difficult landlord, all right, is morally irresponsible, right, to put pressure on his tenant when his tenant's in the difficulties that they are. We can only take on genuine cases when people are suffering somewhat, but the less likely it is for the tenant to be able to maintain the business without help, the easier it is to compromise with the landlord to get him to chip in. It's almost like the Titanic sinking, and the two guys who were after the same girl, right, in the Titanic, are suddenly in a rowing boat together. They may as well work together. I wish you best of health over this very, very difficult situation. Apologise for the amateur video, but I hope this gets the message across. If you want to join our webinars, then we will be hosting them in accordance with how BizNow put them out to you. Looking forward to seeing you on the webinars and hope that we can help you if you need help. Thank you.